I was really looking forward to Sleepy in Seattle because Seattle is the second state on my list of places I want to visit in America. For information, Massachusetts is at the top. But I was really keen to see what this was like and seeing if it was kind of whet my appetite for going to Seattle. And on the one hand, I'll say not really. I'm realizing with Postcards from Buster that obviously the the main great thing about this is it shows you a snapshot of real life in these various places. But I wish they'd focus just a tiny bit on the touristy side as well, because that's the thing that people are probably going to experience when they go to these cities or to these states. And I just feel like they maybe could have focused a little bit on the tourist side as well. But nevertheless, what we got was actually a really enjoyable episode. This is the sixth episode of the first season of Postcards from Buster, and the brilliant sleepy aspect of the title refers to some sleeping issues Buster is having. And the episode actually provides him with some techniques for helping him relax and go to sleep. And I think that that's brilliant. I think we can all benefit from that at some point. But the episode does focus on martial arts, maybe more than I would care for. But the rest of it I enjoyed. That's not to say I didn't enjoy watching the martial arts, because I did, but I just feel like there was too much of it. But the kids in this that Buster meets are brilliant. They're so likable. They've got such a great energy. They definitely selected the right children for this episode. There's one bit that really made me laugh. They're drinking bubble tea, which I have to say, I didn't even know bubble tea was that popular back then, but they get little cartoon characters on the lids, and the girl refers to the cartoon character as this dude, and it just made me laugh. It's so natural. They've got such an organic way of speaking rather than, a scripted, something that's scripted and less natural, and I really appreciated that. I thought that worked really well. Compared to the last few episodes, we actually do get a better look at the streets of Seattle, and I got a better feeling of what it would be like walking in well, I was going to say an average area of Seattle. I don't know exactly how true that is, but certainly I felt like it was a lot more immersive than some previous episodes. We also went inside a grocery store, which I don't think they've done before, and that was pretty awesome. I found that to be quite exciting, because that is obviously real life, and I think it worked really well. I wish we did get to see more of the landmarks and find out more about the history of the more iconic aspects of Seattle, but as I said, I realised the point of Postcards from Buster is to show us a snapshot of the real lives of the children featured in the video and what it's like for them. But again, that's not what you're going to experience as a tourist, and as a tourist you send postcards from the landmarks. So I think it would have been nice to have a bit more of a balance. Obviously, because Seattle's near the top of my to visit list, I feel that more with this episode, whereas pretty much every other episode, mainly the ones that are not focused on city life, the ones that are more farm based and more out in the country, it's not so much an issue with those, but it's the ones that are prominent cities where there are key areas or key landmarks a tourist would want to know about. I feel like they'd be worth fitting in a little bit better. We did get some gorgeous footage in the intro, which is often the case, and that worked really well. So, Sleepy in Seattle, brilliantly titled. Definitely not a bad episode in itself. Everything worked. It was quite fascinating. Not balanced as much as I think it should have been. Too much martial arts. And because I feel like it took up more than half of it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what it felt like. Whereas I think more variety to give a bigger flavour of what the life would have been like. I say that like this was decades ago. It wasn't that long ago. I think would have been a bit better. But generally I found it to be interesting, and I don't feel any different about my trip to Seattle. I'm still very much hopeful for that trip. I don't feel any more educated about Seattle, but I certainly thoroughly enjoyed this nevertheless.